Oops. That didn't work. Ah. Let's try that again. Oops. Okay. Okay, let's try this again. Hi, I'm Kaylee, and today I have a massive bunch of books to talk to you about. So I've been doing a try a chapter, 4 books here, 5 books there, a little at a time, to see if these are books that I really even want to read. But the other day, a mood struck me, and I looked at my TBR shelf, and I was so overwhelmed, I just said, that's it. I've got to go through some of these and actually figure out, do I even care about this book or not? So I went through a massive pile of books and read the first chapter of each of them and made a decision. Do I even want to read that? Or is it just going to be donated? So we have 26 try a chapter books, and I'm going to go through and tell you, do I even care about it? Or is it going in the trash? So I have little sticky notes on each of these to remind myself why I liked it or why I didn't like it. This was a couple of days ago that I actually read these, and I'm just now sitting down to film. So some of these Post-its, I might look at them and be like, wait, what? Why did I write that? I don't even remember why I wrote that. So for the first one we have here is Summers at Castle Auburn. Yeah, Summers at Castle Auburn. So this is about a girl who is the illegitimate child of a royal lord. So she's kind of in the court. They want to keep her close, but she's not really eligible to marry anyone in the court. And so she turns to her mother's magic to kind of make a place for herself, apparently. So right in the beginning, there are fairies. They go on kind of like a little hunting expedition to try to capture a fairy. There is magic, so of course I love that. And I wrote down on my sticky, vivid characters. So I think this one is a yes, for definite, sure. The next one is Jerlayne. So this one is about a woman who is an immortal elf, but the iron that has come over from the realm of the humans is poisoning the elves, and she has to figure out a way to save everybody or something, I don't know. So what I put on my sticky note was too weird and dark. So this one is a no. This just was strange. I even kind of flipped forward a little bit in the book to be like, where is this going? And it's just, that's a no. So no for that one. All right, then we have The Hunting of the Last Dragon. Everyone thought all the dragons had been wiped out until one of them leaves the village of Doran in flames, and there's only one survivor. And so they want revenge, I guess. So let's see, I wrote down good writing, so excellent writing. It's an exciting story, and I wrote down mysterious. So this one is a yes. I'm a little iffy on this one, actually. I mean, it seems maybe, but dragons, that kind of puts it over the top for me, so that's a yes because dragons. It goes in the yes pile. Then we have The Thief of Kalamar. In this one, every character in the first, 10, 15 pages that I read is either a thief or a prostitute, and I was just like, wow, no. I wrote down on my sticky, vulgar, so that's a no. The Sword and the Circle. I wrote down on my sticky, ancient legends. You gotta love it. You gotta love a good King Arthur story, right? And I put an old-timey style. So it's written not in a modern style, but kind of mimicking this, ancient legends kind of writing. So very high style of writing, and I love that. If this had been like some kind of modern retelling, I would have been like, maybe. But the writing style being the old-timey ancient legend kind of style, that's what I love. That one's a yes. Okay, then we have Stitching Snow, which is a retelling of Snow White, but it's set in a space age kind of thing. So Snow White is working in this mining town on a remote planet. I didn't love the beginning. The writing style is pretty good. However, I wrote on my sticky, Intriguing. Intriguing. Enough to hook me in where I just want to see where is this gonna go. So I might read a couple more chapters and DNF it, I don't know. But it did hook me at the beginning. Even though I didn't like the beginning, I still just want to see what's gonna happen. So that's a yes. Our next one is the Golden Unicorn. Don't you just love that cover? Oh my gosh. So Courtney had been the perfect adopted child, but around her neck hung a tiny golden unicorn on a chain that brought her face to face with the violent intrigues of the past, and the murderer, her real mother, had not escaped. So apparently somebody murdered her parents and now they're after her. And I wrote on my sticky, no actual unicorns. So disappointed. I did not want a murder mystery. I wanted real unicorns, not a unicorn necklace. Ugh. And I wrote down too dark. Not what I was looking for. So that's a no. Then we have Ashes on the Waves. This is about two people who fall in love and the fates or like the fae or something are trying to break them apart and make them go through all these terrible trials to prove their love. So I wrote down magic, which I like, and contemporary legends. Like it's kind of this Tristan and Isolde kind of story, but it's set in modern times. So I was like, interesting. I'm gonna try that out. I'm not really expecting this to be amazing or something, but it might be a really nice fluff read. So this one is a yes. Then we have The Lost Kingdom. So this is about Billy and his father who go on an expedition across the American wilderness with a secret society of scientists. Yes, I wrote down adventure. Like, what more do you need? That is a yes. That is a fun adventure. That sounds great. And it looks kind of steampunky as well. So that's a definite yes. That looks like fun. Then we have Endymion Spring. This is about a young man who is an apprentice to Gutenberg. And there is a magical chest that can only be opened with blood. And there's some kind of magic or something in there. So I wrote down Gutenberg, that's a big yes. Like, just the history there, I don't even care if it's historically accurate. It's just a yes, just because of that. And I wrote down mysterious. So, interesting, mysterious, magic, history, love it. Then we have one that has been on my shelf for so long. Oh my goodness, wow. Grimpow. I've been meaning to read this for like the last 10 years. Oh, so this is about a kid who is apprenticed to a thief. So he and this thief go around thieving. And they find a dead man with a ring on his finger, hence the ring on the cover. And the ring gives the boy some kind of magical sight where he can understand these mysterious things. And all of a sudden, there's a bunch of people trying to kill him. So I wrote down on my sticky that the writing uses telling instead of showing. And I hate that. And that is just, the writing's not that great. And I wrote down bland characters. So, that's a no from me. No bland characters, no telling in the writing. No. Then we have Icefall. Icefall. I really love that cover. I don't know what the person is doing right there, but that looks pretty cool. So this is about a princess and her younger brother, the crown prince, who have been sent up into the mountains in the ice to be safe while there is a war going on in their country. However, then apparently they get stuck up there and there are spies amongst them. So it's up to them to figure out who is the spy. So I did write down that the writing style is in present tense. I don't really like that. Present tense writing. It's fine for a little while, but then it gets old really quickly. However, I also wrote down family relationships, and I am for sure there for some complex family relationships. So I decided to just endure through the present tense writing. Maybe it won't be too annoying because I really want to see where these family relationships between brother and sister are gonna go. That's a yes. The next one is Steel. Looks very steely. So this girl starts out in modern times. She is trying to become an Olympic fencer you know, and then somehow she gets transported back in time with pirates, and she has to prove her worth and gain self-confidence. So I wrote down fierce, because this character right away in the first 10 pages was like, wow, she's fierce, okay. But she also kind of strangely lacks the confidence in her own abilities to be able to win the Olympics and all this stuff. So I also wrote character growth, because it seems like I'm expecting that we're going to see that character growth through the story, because they've set it up pretty good at the beginning where she has a character flaw and needs self-confidence and all this. So hopefully the character growth lives up to my expectations with this one. Then we have the Mapmaker and the Ghost. Not always there for a ghost story, but this looks pretty innocent. It's a maybe. So there is a soon-to-be famous heroine, the sidekick little brother, the mysterious old lady, a legendary explorer, and a gang of up-to-no-good hooligans. I mean, that sounds cute, doesn't it? But I wrote on my sticky, boring and childish, like just really, I don't know, just silly. And the writing is kind of condescending and stuff, just boring. Whoops. It just struck me as really boring. It did not hook me in. I don't care about this book. And I'm not always there for a ghost story anyway, so that's a no. Then we have The Poisons of Something, The Hollow Bettle. I like this cover. It's kind of interesting. So this is about a young lady who is apprenticed to an apothecary, and there are a lot of people running around this fantasy world all poisoning each other. And so what you want to do is hire what's called a taster who has a magical ability to tell whether or not there's poison in your food or drink. I wrote down weird. Like just the whole setting, the thing with the poisons and the stuff, it's kind of weird, but like in a good way, like in an interesting way, like this is insane, but I want to read more, like a train wreck and I can't look away from it. So this is a yes, I'm gonna read it. We're gonna see what kind of weirdness happens. Then we have The Last Girls of Pompeii. So I did write down for this one, interesting history. It's about these people who are, you know, living through the last days of Pompeii, and then I'm assuming they're probably all killed at the end. So the history of it is really interesting, but I wrote down boring plot and boring characters. So interesting history, and the rest of it is oh so forgettable. So that's a no. Then we have The City in the Lake. I do not know what is happening, but look, a stone is coming alive. So this is about two princes. One is the crown prince and the legitimate son of the king, and the other one is an illegitimate son, but he is still respected in the court, but he kind of has to find his own identity, his own way in this nation. And there are legends about the stone tigers or something, or jaguars, whatever those are. They come to life, and if you look in this mirror, then you will see your true self. So all kinds of cool magic and legends and, you know, interesting like politics things happening. I wrote down on my sticky, meaningful writing. Like somehow the writing style, there's just so much in there. It's complex and vivid and, interesting. So, meaningful, this is a yes. The next one is The Flight of a Witch. Now, I thought this was gonna be like a real witch, but it turns out it's a murder mystery. And I wrote on my little sticky, florid writing. The writing style is just too flowery and too many weird descriptions. I thought the characters were weird too. Like I just didn't get anybody. There's no actual magic, so who even cares? That's a no. The next one looks like it was chewed by a dog, but it is The Treekeepers. This is about a young girl who meets a chimera, I guess, because you can see it's like a lion head and a snake tail and all that good stuff. And she goes on this fantastic adventure of magic. She's being hunted down because she used a magic elixir to save someone's life. And so now, since magic has been banned in the land, she's on the run. I wrote down imaginative. Like, you'd think it's just this normal fantasy setting, but somehow it really felt new and fresh and interesting and like, oh, I have to just figure out what's happening with this cool magical land. So this one is a yes. Then we have Bella at Midnight. Wow, I really hate this cover. This is just the ugliest cover I think I've ever seen. So this is about a girl who grows up as a peasant, and I think later she finds out that she's actually from the nobility or something, I don't know. But she's friends with a prince, but you know, they can never be together or something. Your typical kind of fantasy adventure setting, right? But here's the thing that drew me in. There is a prophecy of a chosen one who will come and end the war. And you know I love me a good chosen one prophecy. This one is a yes. I'm just gonna leave that sticky on there to cover up the ugly cover. Then we have another one, which has been on my TBR forever, Matched. I hear so many different things about this. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people like the first book, but they didn't like the rest of it. I just don't know what to do with this. I am intrigued by the plot premise that the government has some kind of algorithm that chooses your perfect match for you. I like the dystopian setting. I found the first chapter pretty interesting, and I think I want to see where it goes. So this one is a yes. Plus green is my favorite color, so, you know, I'm there. Then we have In the Stone Circle. Another ugly cover, yay. So this is set in modern times, and this girl is forced to go on a family vacation with her father to Wales, and she's like, oh, this is gonna be so boring. Oh, I don't wanna go overseas. I wanna stay home and hang with my friends. And so I wrote on my sticky, childish. I just don't wanna hear about whiny teenagers. I'm sorry, I just can't deal with that when every other word is totally. I'm just not interested, sorry. That's a no. I'm gonna put it right on top of her big ugly face. Ha! Then we have Masterminds. Love the design of this cover. It just looks so interesting and cool. I love this. So this is about these kids who seem to live in the perfect town. There's no crime, there's no homelessness. They barely even have a police force. Everybody's happy, everybody follows the rules until they find out that underneath there's a dark underbelly and all their parents are criminals or something. I'm not sure what's gonna happen, but it sounds amazing. So I wrote down elaborate setting. Even just right in the first few pages, you can tell, ooh, there's something going on. And I wrote down cool characters. There's these two best friends and they're hanging out, and you just know it's all about to happen in this big adventure. But I loved the camaraderie between those two friends. So very cool characters, and of course mystery. Somehow, even in the smallest things that they say, you're like, ooh, what's underneath that? So very mysterious. This one is a yes. Then we have The Map of Time. This is a flashy, shiny cover. It looks interesting, and yet on the inside, it's vulgar. That's what I wrote. So the beginning of this is a guy who is detailing how he's going to try to commit suicide. Wow, that's a great beginning. Yeah, and it was just badly written anyway, and it was vulgar. And it was just, there was a lot of ickiness in there that I didn't want. So that's a no. Big fat no. Then we have Earthshine. I don't know what's going on with this cover. It's just not that cool. This is some kind of modern magic realism stuff. I'm not even sure what it's about. Like, I read the first 15 pages, I read the description, and it's just, what is this? I wrote down on my sticky, boring. So that's what it is. It's boring. It's gone. It's a no. No. And we have made it to our very last book. It's Around the World in 100 Days. I didn't even put a sticky on this because this is memorable enough that I'm gonna remember that I really wanna read this one. So first of all, this is about Phileas Fogg's son. So Jules Verne, of course, wrote Around the World in 80 Days, where Phileas Fogg tries to get around the world, and it's great adventure and fun. And now this is his son who's trying to drive around the world in 100 days in an automobile. And just from the cover, you know it's gonna be hilarious and fun and adventure and amazing. And the first few pages really hooked me in. So this is probably gonna be first on the list of ones to read. I'm hoping that it's also going to be full of history and really fun references to Around the World in 80 Days, which is one of my favorite books by Jules Verne. So hopefully we'll get kind of that Jules Verne kind of style with some history thrown in. I'm hoping it's going to be really great. I probably have really high expectations and then I'm going to be disappointed. So these are all the keeps and these are all the no's. And we made it. That is my try a chapter. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know what are some try a chapter books that you've tried the first bit and you were like, wow, that's just a big no. Or just tell me what are some books that you're excited to start reading soon. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and remember the right book in the right hands at the right time can change the world.